Hi, and welcome to our quick intro to easy dependency injection with SSW data onion. I'm Adam Stevenson, and I'm a solution architect at SSW and the organiser of Fire Bootcamp. Let's talk about how software gets built. We see this all the time. A new project is started off and the developers go to start the first feature. They're trying to do the right thing, so they introduce an n-tiered architecture with distinct layers. They implement security, logging, and other cross-cutting concerns. They implement a business logic component, which of course relies on some of the other components. They add more UI, more services and more data access. Now this goes on for a while, and they'll often get to the point where they can release the project. Everything is good, for a while at least. We usually get contacted after the project has been going for a year or two. We hear the same problems over and over again. It takes a long time to add new features now that the system is more complex. They cannot test new components thoroughly before they get into production because they interact with live system components. Finding bugs is really hard because the code is convoluted. And making system-wide changes to functionality or implemented technologies is impossible without lots of work and lots of bugs. Does this sound like a project you've been working on? So why does this happen? We say this application is tightly coupled. All of the components of the system reference each other directly. Each module is tightly bound to the code around it. Adding new features is slow because the system is now complex and intertwined. Testing is hard because you can't test one piece of code without testing all of the code it interacts with. Fixing bugs is hard because it's hard to track down exactly where the bugs might be, and all the code is interrelated. And changing the app to implement new components or technologies is hard because you can't change one piece of code without affecting all the other areas. Often when changes are made to one small area, you need to go and retest the whole application. So what's the answer? It's a pattern called dependency injection. The idea is simple and should be familiar. When you build a house, you know that the appliances in the house are going to change over time. You don't wire your fridge and your microwave and your kettle directly into the main circuit board. Each application has a plug that goes into a socket. If an appliance is getting old, you want to be able to easily test it and then update it or replace it. You want to be able to add new appliances without worrying about your existing appliances. We should build our software the same way. Rather than hard coding in all the components of our application, we need to build our core application built around sockets that can be fulfilled by any component that matches the plug hole. As an example, if my application is an online store, rather than hardwiring my connection to a product's database table, I'd create a socket that accepts a list of products. I can plug any appliance into that socket as long as it provides a list of products. If we have a look at the business layer of our online store, instead of hardwiring in the ability to send emails, we'd add a socket that outputs messages. We can then plug any module into that socket that can send messages. This allows us to easily extend our application to support SMS messaging, Facebook messaging, or any component we build that has the right interface. We can do this without making any changes at all to our core app. We just need to build a new external module and plug it in. Choosing which appliance or which external module to use is only a single line of code. Similarly, instead of hardwiring in a shipping calculation, we instead build our application with a socket that accepts a list of products and outputs a total price for shipping. Now if we need to change from shipping with DHL to shipping with FedEx, we can just write a new module that talks to the FedEx web services to calculate shipping costs, test it in isolation from the rest of the system, and change it over using a single line of code. At SSW, we follow a dependency injection-centric architecture called the Onion architecture. We build our applications with layers for business and data access, but instead of hardwiring any dependencies into the core application is composed of sockets. We build all of the dependencies external to the core application and then inject them into the appropriate sockets. You can see here that in the business layer, We insert the email notification dependency into the iNotification service socket, the FedEx shipping calculator into the iShipping calculator socket, and the PayPal payment gateway into the iPayment gateway socket. This is all really easy to set up, and because our application is loosely coupled, we're getting the benefits of extensibility, testability, and maintainability. But what about the data layer? We also need to make sure we're injecting our data sources as well. You can see we're mapping the SQL customer repository to the iCustomer repository and the SQL product repository to the iProduct repository. This is where people trying to implement dependency injection come unstuck. The challenge is that there's lots of conflicting opinions about the right way to inject your data services, and many of them are either lots of work to maintain or else they don't really provide true long-term maintainability. We saw this so often that we've created a product to make it easy to implement and much easier to maintain injecting your data dependencies into your application the right way, the way that we do it at SSW on some of the largest websites in the country. The key to SSW Data Onion is that it takes the pain out of dependency injecting your data layer. You simply add a new object type, and then it automatically generates the socket in your core application and also the external dependency that will talk via the entity framework to a SQL database. You don't have to write all the complex base classes and plumbing because SSW Data Onion will do that for you. To check out how SSW Data Onion can make building maintainable software easier, go to sswdataonion.com. I hope you've enjoyed my introduction to dependency injection and the SSW Data Onion. Thanks for watching, and please drop me a line with feedback or suggestions via email or Twitter.